the fact remains, to get something, you have to give something. And so, if you want to be a leader who's loved, adored, admired, you have to be able to lead with love. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of 5 Years to 40, the podcast and community dedicated to millennials who are talking, thinking, and taking tremendous steps throughout their 30s so they can have a fascinating, and fabulous future. On this channel, we like to keep our conversations around 4 pillar topics. We talk about health, we talk about relationships, we talk about finances, and we talk about careers. And today we're going to be talking about love, leading with love. I know it's a tall ask and you might wonder what is it, but listen for a while. I'll take you through what it is, why it's important, and I will also share 3 easy ways that we can lead with love. Right? So let's start with what leading with love is. Leading with love is knowing what inspires and empowers the people you care about and wanting to help them to succeed at those things that they care about, right? Leading with love is most applicable, of course, in your career, because usually leaders, when you think about leadership, it's most associated with work. But leading and leadership is required in all the areas of our life. So the other pillar topics, like our relationships, clearly, if you're a mom, if you're a wife, if you're a husband, you want to know what inspires the people, that inspires your kids or inspires your spouse, and help them to achieve the things that they want to achieve. So it's important in your relationship, it's important in your careers and your health, in your health and your finances, because the most important person that you will ever lead is yourself. I know sometimes we get caught up on the power thing, the ego thing, like who we can be in charge of or having leaders. Not able to lead yourself, you're really not able to be successful. So self-leadership and self-regulation is actually one of the most important form of leadership that you'll have to undertake. So leading with love is applicable to all our pillar topics. But for today's conversation, we'll kind of keep it around relationships and career, okay? So let's get into why leading with love is important. Leading with love is what separates a good leader from a great leader. Okay? And a great leader is somebody who brings out the best in other people, who helps people to feel understood, and helps people to feel appreciated, and helps people to feel as though they're being communicated with. Like, and then so they have an issue and they have something going on. When they speak, it's not like they just talking and nobody can go bother after. There's follow-up and there's engagement, and their eyes don't glaze over when you say something that they don't understand. They make you feel as though you're communicated. How people feel has a huge impact on how people behave, because our actions are regulated by our feelings. It is what it is. People talk about in your feelings. In your feelings is a serious thing. I know you say, people might also argue that at work you shouldn't be in your feelings, but at work is where people are most in their feelings. If we're honest, you'll see it, okay? So it's really important if you aspire to be a great leader, and again, this is applicable in your relationships and even for yourself. If you aspire to be a great leader, that comes right back to you. Like, you can't escape making people feel good and not making yourself feel good. So when you are genuinely and authentically helping people to feel good, you feel good as well, because you see people succeeding and you see people doing well, and oh my gosh, like, I was able to give them some guidance on this. So it's like they win and you win. So let's get into 3 ways you can lead with love. The first thing you can do is to seek to understand people more than to be understood by them. There's a prayer that we used to say in convent, something to be understood. I can't remember the exact wording, but the premise is beautiful, because when you're leading other people, you have to remember that people come from different perspectives, different backgrounds. They may have different ideas on how the very same thing can be done. And it's also very important to, to make the effort to have a conversation, or to have a little sit down, a little back and forth to understand why people behave the way they do. This is especially important in times of conflict, because often when people have conflict, the emotions again get all in the mix, and people forget that a conversation, trying to understand, well, why are you taking it in this manner? Like, you're upset about something. What are you upset about? This is not what I meant to say. This is what I wanted conveyed, and you could work out a lot more than and have less animosity if you take the approach of seeking to understand people more than pushing your perspective on them. So that's one way you can lead with love, okay? Seek to understand the people. It requires humility, but it's really worth it, okay? The second way you can lead with love is to show appreciation for people. So this could be a big thing, like having, some organizations have things like top performers, and having things like special mentions of people who went above and beyond. You can do that as a leader. Make sure that you keep, if your company has those things, make sure that you take an effort to keep those things running, because it makes a difference if people for people. Although there are some people who don't like to be publicly recognized, and if you did the first step, which is to seek to understand people, you would be able to figure out who are the people who want to be acknowledged, appreciated by being acknowledged, or appreciated by being recognized. So recognition is you being out there, the fanfare, the pins, the badges, the pictures, the whatnot, and acknowledge is when you're able to say, I know this was you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for giving that perspective. Thank you for being there when everybody else went home. Thank you. That's acknowledgement. Because some people don't need the fanfare, but you should at least show appreciation by acknowledging that they did in fact do the work. Another way you can show appreciation is showing up consistently in things that matter to other people. So again, back to the first step, you understand now what makes them tick. So you go ahead and try to appreciate it by, if you have a team, or you have people who like sports, like your kids like sports, show up to the game, show up to a training, show up to a team event, show up at a funeral, show up if the person have a small business, even if, and I know as a leader you cannot do everything, but here's a trick: do one thing consistently. So instead of saying, I don't have time to go to the team sports, so the team, your team have football, cricket, whatever, and you can't go every day, or you don't have no interest in going, but if there's an event where, let's say, the person has, a member of your team lost a loved one, show up to the funeral. Like, let that be your thing. Or maybe you don't like funerals, but when the birthday comes around, let celebrating birthdays or leading birthdays be your thing, so people know, hey, this boss or this leader may not be in the sports, may not show up at the funeral, but they're gonna show up for a birthday. they're gonna show you, they're gonna write something really deep and meaningful in a birthday party. If you have a small business, they're gonna stop and take a drink. If it's like you have to find ways to appreciate people, and yes, sometimes it means going outside of your normal scope, especially when it comes to your career, but it is so worth it to make meaningful relationships, and helps you to be a leader that leads with love. Okay, the final way is to communicate. Now, we know as millennials that communication is in everything. Communication is the way you look, and the way you look at people is in everything. There's a lot of nonverbals, and it's important for you to understand those and use them to your advantage. So communicate well, communicate clearly, communicate concisely, but don't withhold obvious information. Like, let people know what they need to know. Maybe you may not be able to let them know everything, but let people know something so that they might be even be able to help you work out. Let's say it's a difficult situation, or there's a situation at work that you, as a leader, not sure how it's going to fall out. Let people know what you know. Maybe somebody who you're speaking with might be able to give some insight or some information or some inspiration or some solution. Don't like be, I'm the leader, so I'm gonna hold all the information for myself. I understand that you cannot share everything with everybody, but give people information. And to also have courageous conversations, because sometimes, yes, these conversations might be difficult and hard, but you need to let people know what they need to change and how they, and maybe even give them opportunities or options or suggestions to change it, right? As a leader who is leading with love, right? So those are the 3 quick tips I wanted to share with you guys. If you find them useful, please be sure to share them, like this episode, and to share it with your friends. Leave me a comment to let me know what you thought about leading with love, if it's a concept that you are okay with, or how do you lead with love? How do you show up with love in your relationships, in your career, or even for yourself? How do you lead yourself with love? So remember, guys, today the 3 ways that you can help to yourself to lead with love is to seek to understand people more than them understanding you, to show appreciation in big ways and in small ways, and to communicate clearly, right? I thank you so much for coming on today, and be sure to follow me on Instagram as well, and keep taking care of yourselves, keep being safe, keep doing the most. Bye, guys.